Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, December 22nd, 2021, here in Miami, Florida, still, as you can tell by my background. This will probably be the last video I do here with the Miami energy as a character in the recording. I will be heading back to Sarasota tomorrow, and I do not anticipate getting tomorrow's video done in the morning. So I am, first off, welcome to anybody who is new to the Giving Myself Voice series. This is episode 10. And to anybody who's new to me in general, welcome to anybody. However you found me, I definitely do not take any single viewer lightly who takes the time out to give me any of their time and or attention. So thank you and welcome. For anybody just joining, this is a 28 video, 20-day series. And the title of the series pretty much says what it is: giving myself voice. And I can tell you that I am giving myself voice in a way that I have not yet completely done. And the impetus for this was a less than positive experience that I had recently in an online marketing course. That experience and having it take me to my depths of darkness again, very, very unexpectedly, processing that experience, analyzing that experience, and now coming out of it on the other side has served as a literal fire under my ass to remember who I am, remember what I'm here to do, remember what I've been doing publicly on my own channel for 9 years, and to give it all a stronger, even more authentic voice than I have managed to do thus far. So I do not anticipate many will watch this entire series from episode 1 through episode 28, although I think, I'll probably towards the end maybe identify and identify certain components of what is covered in each episode. The first 8 episodes were more specifically talking about the specific experience in a guy named Mark Atwood's online marketing course. So I would say anybody in his course, anybody that's taken his course, anybody that's considering to take his course may get some value in listening to any or all of those videos. From here on out, however, as I explained in episode 9, I am going to work to now extrapolate out some higher level lessons and speak to those more directly. I still very well may reference the most recent experience and or others in my life as I talk about these higher level lessons. But for the most part, the specifics of the course experience have now been covered pretty much as I want to cover them. I also alluded to the fact that in addition to covering it, it kind of goes hand in hand that by covering some of these higher level topics, issues, themes, I am also going to be interweaving that into the official launching of my project, ripple2020.world. And whenever I say the project, I just say the whole website. It's ripple2020.world. The name of the project is just Ripple 2020. And I am still working to finish the website completely and be able to give a little bit more voice to what this project is and being a little bit more, providing some more constructive criticism as it pertains to some of the issues facing our world at large, society at large, goes hand in hand into why and how that project came into being. Now, before I do that, I thought this was kind of a good, first, let me also say, I'm going to hold off on sharing anything too public about the experience that I'm having down here in Miami. It was good. It was a nice evening last night. Danced my ass off for the last hour. I was sweating buckets, which was great. I really was wanting to just sort of connect to the music more than anything and feed off of the energy to get a little reboot for myself. It was good. It was nice, and just came back from a lunch. That was actually even nicer because it gave me some really quality time. In this case, with some amazing women that I was sitting with at a particular table, where we all had lunch together. It was good. It was a nice event. You know, I've been on this journey now for over a decade, and I have had the fortunate experience, you know, the fortunate, I've experienced a lot of really amazing things on my spiritual journey. And I would say in really different capacities. I have had equally or more powerful experiences entirely on my own. I've had them in much smaller groups. I've had them with people that I consider soul family that maybe aren't technically awakened. So you know, again, I'm kind of an oddball because I'm not like, you know, I'm a pretty independent person. I say this all the time. I'm on everybody's team and nobody's team. So I'm not someone that's, you know, really gets excited about I'm not like a fan person, right? Like I have great respect for anyone and everyone out there doing the work and for, you know, everybody's journey. But I, as in case you haven't picked up on it yet, if you're watching this series, I am not one about the hierarchy. You know, I certainly am not personally looking to be anybody's prophet or savior or anything like that. So I'm just sort of, I just don't get too goo goo gaga over anybody that in some cases others might kind of treat people like they're like stars. And in this case, this couple is a very established couple in the spiritual community, and they're great. I'm not saying this as any criticism of anybody. I don't know any of these people personally, so I'm not trying to judge anybody. I'm just saying they're big in the community, but they're on the same journey that we're all on. So, you know, theirs is maybe more public. They're perhaps been on it longer than other people, but there's also plenty of people, and I know a number of these people who have been on the journey consciously in this life for like 3 times as long as me, 4 times as long as me. In one case, my neighbor and good friend, you know, she's been on this journey for almost half a century, and doing the work and being an elder and a teacher in a very quiet manner, but is no less more powerful than these people with 40, 50, 90, 200,000 followers. So I'm just not one that gets terribly excited about, you know, bigger. I am more of an intimate, smaller person who honors that this wisdom and this knowledge is inside each and every one of us. And I work really hard to make sure I keep myself as equals to anybody that is watching or may stumble upon my videos. I have different experiences to be sure. And I've, you know, put my money where my mouth is in big ways on my spiritual journey. And so it doesn't mean I'm not discerning. It doesn't mean that, you know, every Tom, Dick, and Harry who can talk the language is actually living it. You know, you still have to navigate with great discernment, and you still have to recognize there is some truth to what degree is one living their words, right? And there's a fine line there between, you know, judging someone and or having this energy of almost exuding out that they have to somehow demonstrate where they are. But for me going forward, I like acting, I like doing. I am here to work. I like working. I like moving. I like being in the physical. And I like working with others. And so that means that at this stage in my life, I am really ready to act. I've spent a good number of years in this life talking, and I'm really ready to act. And given what I've done already in terms of taking a literal almost just under six-figure leap of faith, I'm ready to act in a pretty big way. And so I'm looking to act out in the world and live these words in a way with others who are sort of ready at that same frequency. I hesitate to say at that same level. And that sort of takes me to what I wanted to just speak a little bit more about regarding me and my wiring and sort of putting out through this channel into the universe, since I feel like I must still not be sending a clear enough message of what I'm ready and wanting to draw into my reality. And I do accept the full responsibility of the reality that I create around me. So in an effort to do that, I wanted to speak a little bit about the nature of my personality, the nature of this vessel that my soul chose to incarnate into at this exact time on this planet as humanity goes through this massive shift in consciousness. As I said before, I'm wired as a team player, and my background as an athlete has done more than anything else in my life to set that stage and prepare me in this life for the role I feel my soul is here to play. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. When I played sports, and I played pretty much all of them, on the baseball field, I was the shortstop. The shortstop is what's called the cutoff man, the cutoff person, meaning they're the in-between between the outfield and the infield. If a player hits, the opposite team hits a ball into the outfield, the shortstop is the one that goes out to get the relay to then decide where it's going when the ball comes into the infield. It's that center position. I was a shortstop for the whole time that I played. I did play third base on a travel softball team once. I wasn't shortstop on that team, but for all the years I played softball, baseball, I was shortstop. For the short time I played volleyball, I was the setter. The setter is the center person that sets up the spikes, right? And in volleyball, you always want to try to set up a spike to go on against the other team. Sometimes you have to bump it over or settle for a less than ideal play to get the ball back over to the other side. But the goal is to have the ball spiked back over, and it's the setter who finds the place on the court to receive the bump and set it up for the person to spike it over. On the soccer field, I spent the majority of my soccer career as a center midfielder. I was also either left or right back. I could play any midfield position I could play. But the majority of my high school years on our twice state runner-up soccer team was center midfielder. The midfielder position is equal part offense and equal part defense. And the center mid is literally the center of the field, okay? So again, just if you can think and extrapolate out what this training through sports has meant for my personality, and if you can extrapolate this out to life. And finally, the sport that took me to college, basketball, I was the point guard. And in that case, I didn't really have much choice. I was always the point guard, pretty much because I'm not even 5 feet tall. So I certainly wasn't a forward or a center and wasn't even a shooting guard. I was a point guard. And the point guard is known as the floor general, the person on the court that controls her team's pace and momentum. The floor general. Every single sport I played, I was either in the balanced position, like in the midfielder on the soccer field, and or the literal leader of the team on the field, like in the point guard position. It's an incredible metaphor and perfect for and it set the stage for what my future would be about, even though post sports, I have had an incredibly difficult time taking those incredible gifts that I have in being, I'm a natural leader. And I'm in the sport terminology, I'm a player coach, which means I'm not interested in just barking orders or things as the coach from the sideline. I'm somebody that plays and wants to be active in the game, but also has that ability to coach and to guide and to lead. That's what I am. It's what I've been since I've been out of this womb. But clearly, my journey was not intended to use those skill sets in the regular work world, in the 3D mainstream approach to life. I tried. I tried until 34 years old, and I just couldn't. I couldn't find any sort of longevity in the third dimensional world, and therefore never really had a chance to utilize those leadership, tendencies and those gifts and those skills in any way that I was intended to until my awakening. And even then, it's really only now, literally now, as we approach 2022, that I feel I'm really and finally coming into what it is I've been training to be and do. Now, I forget which episode it is. I think it was episode 8, when I revealed that one of the most challenging, hurtful things that took place in Mark's course was that he dangled a carrot that he was going to teach a course in empowerment, and he was considering co-teaching it with a number of us in the class. And he gave us a bunch of questions or themes to comment upon, I guess basically to show him who, if any of us, were going to be able to vibe with him enough to teach this course. And as I told you, we never heard anything from that feedback. Don't know if he read it or not, but we also had a chance in that document to add anything extra that we wanted to add. Now, the whole damn document, it was a great exercise for me, because now I have in writing some really powerful things. But I wanted to read this one paragraph that I wrote as an addition. This was not something he inquired about. This is something that I wrote. And what I said was, I think the title of it was Standing in Your Power as Part of a Team. And I'm going to read you what I wrote. Going forward, teamwork is going to be essential, and knowing how to operate efficiently and effectively in a way that takes greatest advantage of every team member's strengths, working towards a united vision, is something I personally feel is wholly lacking in the world. Post-college, pre-awakening, from age 22 to 34, was spent in multiple work arenas: corporate, nonprofit, and educational. In none of those did my experiences come close to those of my high school athletic teams, where our leadership was pure and our team unification was natural and innocent. Not until I synchronistically ended up in the world of Iron Man in 2015 did I finally get to experience real teamwork in the workplace. Sadly, the model served in that world was the dollar-focused, greed-based model, so I still felt that our teams didn't have nearly a chance to be as great as we could have been from a 5D foundation. From my perspective, a group of powerful individuals who are unfamiliar with and or incapable of working as a unit while still honoring each individual's power isn't going to be successful or beneficial to the world. This is an aspect I don't think can or should be ignored. And I will extend that criticism now, so far in my experience, to, albeit I'm less than 2 years in this sort of spiritual community online, and I don't even know if you can say I'm really in it. I'm on the periphery of it more as a viewer of, like I said, these people with huge, enormous followings. What I still find lacking is the action part. And, I've met a couple of people close to me who seem to think that action isn't worth taking while you still have lessons to learn. And I just think that's bullshit. If we're in human form, we're here and the lessons are going to continue as long as we're in human form. So waiting around until we're all perfect human beings to act doesn't resonate with me. I'm all about, and I'm really a kinesthetic learner, a learner who learns by doing. And I like getting out there and doing. Um, so, like I said, one of my biggest criticisms thus far of spiritual communities, in the various ones I've been on the periphery of, and presently this big like online community, is I just still feel like that is lacking. Like when I go to an event like this, yes, we have an opportunity to connect like we did today and exchange numbers and things. But like for me, I know what I'm working towards is to provide more of an okay. If I ever were to get that big, I would want to use the platform to get resources to people that are ready to act in their community, using and practicing the things that they want to be doing out in the world, their passions, their dreams, their desires, their ideas. Let's get a playing field, if you will, for people to put some of these things into action. So that's sort of where I feel things are lacking. And it just also sort of aligns to where I think my greatest strengths are. It's assembling and bringing teams together and finding the harmonious combinations of people coming together with shared visions where they can come together and agree to play specific parts in achieving said vision, and they have the equal respect that every single player, no matter if some role more than another role for a particular project is more visible, or it's like kind of like in bands, right? The lead singer tends to get all the attention while the bass guitarist is just the bass guitarist. Well, yeah, but in your band, the bass guitarist is still playing the music you're singing. So from my perspective, they've all are equally contributing to what the collective is in that example. The band wouldn't be what the band is without each person playing their role. Therefore, since it takes all of them, there's no one that's more important. And again, that was drilled into me young, as a team athlete, not an individual sport athlete, which is it's a different ball game when you're playing an individual sport versus a team sport. I'm a team player, wired to the nth degree as a team player. And also the athlete in me is always looking where I can improve. It's knowing what you do well, your strengths, but it's also working and not being afraid to highlight where your weaknesses are. And that's another constructive criticism I have of sort of thus far my experience within the truther and spiritual community. It's not perfect, right? It's not perfect. There's room for improvements. There's room, in my opinion, humbly, for more effective and efficient ways for us to come together and take opportunities like what this event just brought in 350 people, very high vibing, powerful people all together. I'm not saying it wasn't great. I'm not saying there weren't a number of people that are going to be on fire, for weeks. But where I'm at on my journey, I'm ready to act. Like I'm glad I came. I'm really glad I came, right? But where I'm at on my journey, I'm ready to act, and I could benefit from in my projects, which are completely intended to serve way more than me, way more than just me. I could have benefited from, perhaps being able to tap into some of these people who have these huge networks. But in order for that to happen, there has to be an assumption that not everybody coming to see somebody that has 50,000 followers is there as a follower. You got to assume that there are plenty of people there that also, might just be as potent as you within their own world, doing it a different way. And if so, perhaps the energy and attention that's going to just some of these really big people could be redistributed. I mean, that's just my 2 cents. I don't, I mean, I've been riding solo for 9 years. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep being real and honest, and I'm going to keep being a leader. And being a leader, a true leader, means that sometimes you're going to say things that might be unpopular. You're going to do things that might be unpopular. But I'm not in this for any sort of popularity contest or any sort of fame or fortune. I'm in this for truth, and I'm in this for real change. And I'm in this to empower the magic that is in every single being, including, to use a term that only people probably in the spiritual truth or community may know, NPCs, non player characters. I guess if you're a video game person, you might know what that means too. I didn't know what that term meant, but apparently it's a pretty common term now to refer to people that are not yet awake. And arguably, some might hold the opinion that NPCs may never, they aren't even designed to wake up. I don't hold that opinion. I think any being that's in a human form has a chance to wake up to the greater truth of their immense power, of the God that they are within. We are all expressions of God. Truth, period. That's what I believe. And I don't want reverence from anybody. I want more of an opportunity for people to begin living that in the here and now from wherever they're at. And that means not waiting until they're, just providing more opportunities to meet people on the vast spectrum of awakening. So, some Miami police sirens for you. So anyway, that's what I was called to share today. Just a little bit more as I now shift into these higher level lessons, as I then use that to talk more about Ripple 2020, this project that's going live no matter what on the first of the year to raise $4 million. And I know that sounds crazy, like a big number for somebody that's got, whatever, however little following I have. But when I know how much I've done with how little. It's not going to take much for me to tap into to have this project take off. And the best part is I'm not attached to it. It's kind of like trying to convince somebody to be in a relationship with you. I don't want somebody to be I don't want to try to convince a guy to be in a relationship with me. That's ridiculous. I don't want to be with somebody who doesn't want to be with me. I'm kind of done working so hard to prove and convince that I am what I say I am. I don't need, like I am doing all I can to truly help as many as possible on this journey, ones that are awake and people to awaken. And I'm not out to convince anybody of it or to make them do it. I'm just a really powerful being that I'm telling you won't really get to demonstrate and be as powerful as I really came here to be and want to be until I'm kind of running my own game. And my visions are big, and because I am wired to think about way more than just myself. And so I'm going to keep going. And if it never comes together, if it never comes to fruition, if I remain at 100 and something subscribers till the day I take my last breath, well, then okay. I really don't care about, I'm really getting more and more detached from it all. And therefore, it's freeing me. And in this case, I'm not going to hesitate to be more direct and clear to the universe. I know who I am. I know how powerful I am. I know what I've done in a decade with almost no help whatsoever, with almost no support in the physical at all. And to hold on, to do what I've done and to hold on to this vision. If you don't see it and if you don't want to play along, that's okay. But I'm certainly not going to accept that I'm not what I say I am, because I am. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say other than that. So we're going to continue to lay this out. And and I'm not watering it down, and I'm not settling. I'm not settling. I'm not going to sell myself to get this off the ground in any way that does not feel genuinely aligned to truth, and aligned to this greater equality that is within us at our essences, and to guide us into the maturity in our human vessels, to be able to just be transparent and to communicate with one another as we do, move our way towards living this for real, breaking out of the limitations of the old ways and living this. But that means you got to take a little bit of a leap of faith, because we don't yet exist in a 5D world, and you can't play in both. You can't play in both. And right now, the foundation, the intentions are huge, and that's where the discernment is huge. And that's why I know I've learned these very potent lessons in the past couple of years, because it does matter with whom you are working directly, and being transparent and being clear. And I'm not looking. I'm a pretty solo person. I don't need a lot of friendships. I'm kind of here to work, and I like working. I want to make work fun, and I like working with teams. And so I'm looking for others who clearly know how they want to act out in the world, what they're bringing, what their strengths are, and to be able to express that openly and honestly and find ways to collaborate. So that's episode 10. I don't even know what the title is going to be. I'll have to watch this and decide afterwards. So wherever you are, enjoy the rest of your day. And I'm sure holiday festivities are in motion for many of you with families, and who do the more traditional thing, which I loved. I loved Christmas when I was a kid. I loved this time of year in Michigan. And so I'd be lying if I said it wasn't sometimes a little bit hard still, that my life didn't end up in any way traditional. And not having a family to celebrate in any way, it's not always easy, but it's definitely easier than it's ever been. And I never want to take away from everyone that does have the ability and the family with which to celebrate a time of just being grateful and appreciative, and giving to one another. That's what it's all about. It really is. So happy holidays to you all. I'm going to continue with this series, because I don't have any normal plans, all the way through the holidays. So if you get bored at your family dinner and you want to tune in, the episodes will continue here right through episode 28. So thanks for watching. Have a great day wherever you are, and much love to everyone.